For 3,000 years, one building has dominated the Western imagination. It wasn't the largest structure of antiquity, nor the oldest, but it was claimed to be only one designed by the Creator himself. Today, we peel back the layers of King Solomon's temple. The Bible, according to the first book of Kings, the temple was approximately 90 feet long and 45 feet high. It was a tripartite structure, meaning it had 3 rooms. First, the Olam, or porch. Then, the Hekal, the main sanctuary where the golden lampstands flickered. Finally, the Debir, the Holy of Holies. This was a perfect cube of 30 feet, a space so sacred, only one man could enter it once a year. The Bible describes a level of wealth that staggers the mind. Walls of Lebanon cedar, floors of cypress, and every inch overlaid with fine gold. Not a single stone was visible from the inside. Even the nails were gold. This was not a building for men, it was a jewelry box for the presence of God. Note the cherubim, massive statues with 15-foot wingspans. In the biblical narrative, these weren't just decorations, they were the throne of the spiritual king. But move from the altar to the lodge, and the temple changes. In Freemasonry, the Temple of Solomon is not a ruin in Jerusalem, it is a living project. It is you. While the Bible focuses on King Solomon, Masonry focuses on Hiram Abiff. In the Masonic legend, Hiram is the master builder who is murdered because he will not betray the secrets of his craft. This narrative shifts the focus from the completion of the building to the integrity of the builder. Masons use the working tools of the temple builders to describe moral life. The square to square our actions. The compass to circumscribe our desires. The stone isn't limestone, it is the ashlar. The rough ashlar represents man in his uneducated, natural state. The perfect ashlar is the man refined by a life of virtue and education. In this version, the temple is never finished because the work of human self-improvement is never done. Where the Bible saw gold for God's glory, the Mason sees the G for geometry and the great architect of the universe. Now, we put away the gold in the allegories. We look at the dirt. What does the archaeology of the 10th century BC actually tell us? Because we cannot dig on the Temple Mount itself, for political reasons, we look to the neighbors. In northern Syria, the Ain Dara temple was discovered. It is almost a carbon copy of Solomon's layout. It has the same 3 rooms and 2 massive pillars at the entrance. Its layout and details provided strong evidence that the biblical description of Solomon's temple wasn't anachronistic, but reflected real regional architectural styles of that time. This temple's existence proved that grand temples with biblical-like features were part of a widespread tradition in the Levant during the Iron Age, influencing even the design of Jerusalem's first temple. The actual temple was likely built of local Meleka limestone, a soft white stone that hardens when exposed to air. While the Bible describes gold-covered walls, archaeology suggests the walls were more likely decorated with ivory inlays and Phoenician-style carvings of palm trees and winged lions. It was a masterpiece of Phoenician engineering, not a supernatural feat. It was a royal chapel for a small but rising kingdom. Which temple is the real one? The biblical temple is the temple of faith. It tells us who God is. The Masonic temple is the temple of character. It tells us who we should be. The archaeological temple is the temple of history. It tells us where we came from. Ultimately, Solomon's temple survives not because of its stones, but because of its story. It is a blueprint for the human desire to connect the earthly with the divine. Some people might reflect on the symbolism versus the historical evidence. If archaeology suggests the temple was built of limestone, rather than encased in gold, does that diminish the spiritual value of the biblical narrative? The Bible mentions no tool of iron was heard at the building site. Considering the archaeological reality of stone dressing, could this silence at the site symbolize the Masonic concept of harmony and peace? Given that we cannot excavate the Temple Mount today, Would finding physical proof of Solomon's temple as described in both the Bible and Masonic analogies strengthen or weaken the faith and traditions surrounding it? While these questions will likely be debated by scholars and archaeologists for years to come, the journey of self-discovery reflected in biblical stories and Masonic allegory may prove to be the most valuable discovery of all for the average individual. It is fair to say, it survives because it is a blueprint for the human desire to connect the earthly with the divine. The journey of self-discovery, reflected in these stories, may be the most valuable discovery of all.